News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
News Talk KGVO, AM 1290 and now 101.5 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
Authorities released the name of the man who died in a fiery plane crash at Lost Trail. Good morning. This is John King stepping in for Peter Christian while he spends some time with his daughter and family. Have a good day off, Peter. Hope you're not listening to the radio right now. Enjoy your time in silence, or at least talking to your family. Your news this morning brought to you by Temp-Rite Service. For all your plumbing and heating needs, call Team Blue, the local experts at 728-1111. The name of the pilot in Tuesday's fatal plane crash at the Lost Trail Ski Resort was released Thursday morning by the Ravalli County Sheriff's Office. Under Sheriff Steve Holton says the pilot was from Burnsville, Minnesota.
62-year-old Michael Bloom of Burnsville, Minnesota, was killed when the aircraft he was piloting crashed into the parking lot of Lost Trail Powder Mountain. Mr. Bloom was the only occupant of the aircraft, and no other injuries were reported as a result of the crash.
Holton said that Bloom's flight plan had him intending to land in Hamilton.
Mr. Bloom was piloting the aircraft to the Ravalli County Airport in Hamilton. The aircraft left Dillon, Montana, and had landed in Salmon, Idaho prior to this incident.
Personnel from the NTSB and the FAA are still investigating the cause of that crash. A proposed initiative to expand Medicaid to the working poor won't be on the November 4th election ballot. Sponsor Kim Abbott said Thursday that there just wasn't enough time to gather the 24,175 voters' signatures that have to be turned in today. She says organizers collected more than 25,000 signatures, but an internal review of a large sample showed that about 30% of those would have been invalidated. The proposal would have expanded Medicaid coverage to people making up to 138% of the federal poverty level, or about 70,000 people in Montana. Abbott says that delays in the Attorney General's review of the measure for legal flaws held up the collecting of signatures by about 3 weeks to a month, and a failed legal challenge by opponents of the measure and Attorney General Tim Fox added uncertainty. In related news, Charter Communications is also dropping its ballot initiative after reaching a settlement with the state in its dispute over property taxes. Revenue Director Mike Kadis said Thursday that the settlement agreement lets Charter keep $9 million of the $34 million in disputed taxes from 2010 to 2013. The other $25 million will be distributed to the states and counties. To the state and counties. Kadis said Charter will pay an additional $8.3 million in taxes for the year 2007 to 2009. Going forward, though, the company will be taxed at the 6% rate for the telecommunications service companies and not the 3% cable company rate. Charter's proposed ballot initiative would have asked voters to reverse a Montana Supreme Court decision that reclassified the company to pay that 6% rate. Lead newspapers of Montana first reported this settlement agreement. Charlotte Marie Sanchez appeared in Missoula Justice Court yesterday to face 3 felony counts of assault on a minor, namely her 3 children. Deputy Missoula County Attorney Sean Donovan said that he was called to assist Missoula Police Detective Katie Peterson with a case involving 3 children who had been abused by their mother.
Disclosed a pretty disturbing long-time pattern of being assaulted by their mother, and so based on that, I felt there was grounds to charge her with assault on a minor, which is a 5-year felony. And
Donovan said the suspected abuse went on for about 6 months before authorities were made aware of the situation.
But we're talking about the kids saying that they were slapped and punched and shoved, pushed into a shower. One of them said she was poked in the head with a sharp object. When one of these kids is developmentally disabled.
Sanchez appeared via video from the Missoula Detention Center and was placed back in jail on $25,000 bond. The children, 2 girls and a boy, ages 13, 12, and 10, were placed with Missoula Child and Family Services. A 19-year-old University of Montana student who was burned in a weekend explosion was hospitalized in critical condition and needs skin grafts. Steve Keller of Great Falls tells the Missoulian that his son, Matt Keller, was scheduled to undergo skin graft surgery on Thursday at the University of Utah burn unit. Keller says his son suffered second-degree burns to his head, face, and hands, and also his legs, when a woman poured denatured alcohol on a bonfire early Sunday after his son told her not to. Police apparently were not called. Steve Keller said that that he reported his son's injuries to the Missoula police on Monday. The bonfire was being held at the University of Montana-owned housing that the female student was renting. spokeswoman Peggy Kaur says university lease agreements do not allow open burning or even the burning of candles. Montana Republicans have given initial approval to a proposal to close future primary elections to prevent voters outside of the party from influencing contests. Members of the GOP's conservative wing complained after the June 3rd primary that Democrats had crossed party lines to bolster the chances of some moderate Republicans. On Thursday, a platform committee at the state Republican convention in Billings passed a resolution to limit future Republican primaries to party members only. Resolution supporter Matthew Monforton, a candidate for House District 69 over in Bozeman, says that the change is needed so, quote, liberal Republicans, end quote, don't benefit from outside support. The proposal comes as moderate and conservative Republicans maneuver for positions within the party that hold few statewide offices. Republican Representative Rob Cook of Conrad says Monforton's proposal threatens to isolate the party from voters. On Tuesday night, an expectant mother checked herself into the Anaconda Community Hospital under a fake name and also under the influence of meth. Anaconda Police Chief Tim Barkell explains what happened next.
The hospital ran a drug screen on the woman, came back positive for methamphetamine. Hospital then placed a call to Child Protective Services. They said they would take care of the baby in the morning. In the meantime, after the delivery was done, the hospital allowed the mother to walk the baby down the hallway. At around 17 minutes after midnight, the hospital called us and said that the mother had left with the baby.
The car the mother left with was later found at her sister's home, but the sister avoided giving details about where the mother and baby went, other than saying that they left in a truck. Now, law enforcement across the state is searching for the mother and her infant. Here's a quick description of the mother.
Her name is Michelle Yallop. She is 5'6", 120 pounds. Got a date of birth of 9/29/84. Brown hair, brown eyes.
Authorities have searched at relatives' homes in Butte, Great Falls, and Belt, Montana, but have been unable to find the mother or her baby. Anyone with information about where Michelle Yallop went are advised to call authorities immediately. It's time to look in at our weather. We'll turn it over to Brooke Foster in just a second. But first, our weather sponsor, Weather This Morning, brought to you by Paradise Falls. Over at Paradise Falls today, you can begin your day with breakfast at 7 a.m. and wrap up the week with the Friday night's Chef's Seafood Special, something different every Friday. Check out the full menu and specials at ParadiseFallsMissoula.com. Here we go with Brooke.
News Talk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Mostly sunny and warm today with our highs topping out in the low 80s. There's a chance of showers and thunderstorms late this afternoon. Scattered showers and storms remain in the forecast tonight. Mostly sunny Saturday. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster for KECI 13.
Information never stops. The news you need right now. More Montana news headlines. News Talk, KGVO. Depend on it.
These headlines brought to you by Bitterroot Motors, where you'll find the new Ford Fiesta priced at $100 over factory invoice, minus a rebate of $1,500. A car rated at 39 miles per gallon. A 35-year-old Wyoming woman has denied charges that she twice fondled a young boy in Billings. The Billings Gazette reports that Bonnie Lynn White pleaded guilty Thursday to 2 felony counts of sexual assault. She remains free on a posted $50,000 bond, but District Judge Mary Jane Nisley ordered her not to have any contact with anyone under the age of 18. The boy, now 13, told a counselor in February that the assaults happened when he was 10 and 11 during trips to Billings, and that both times White threatened to hurt him and his family if he reported it. Court records say that White faces 6 similar charges involving 3 victims, including the boy in the Billings case. In other jurisdictions, a judge has sealed charges filed against White in Bighorn County in Wyoming. A new study by the Manhattan Institute compares the prices of the lowest cost health insurance options for those that don't have Medicare, Medicaid, or insurance through their workplace. Researcher Yevgeny Feynman explains how costs have changed in Montana since the institution of the Affordable Care Act.
In Montana, there's roughly a 19% increase for young people around 27. The increases fairly low for 40-year-olds. For middle-aged people, it's about 6%. And then, a little bit surprisingly, it's an even larger increase for the older folks around 64, those close to retirement. They're seeing an increase over 30%, about 35% on average.
The average cost for 64-year-olds in Montana went up from about $370 a month to about $500 a month. Still, Montana is much better off than the national average.
Montana is certainly doing better than average. So on average, the increase around the country is about 49%, 50%. And Montana escapes much less scathed than other states.
A Department of Health and Human Services report released on Wednesday shows that the average amount paid by Montanans on the Affordable Care Act exchanges is about $78, which is $10 less than the national average. That means that a huge majority of Montanans are receiving federal subsidies to cover the bill. The rain is tapering off after dumping up to 8 inches over parts of Glacier National Park this week, but the extra water running off the mountains means that the threat of flooding is going to remain. The National Weather Service has extended a flood warning for Glacier County east of the park until Friday evening. All of that precipitation is expected to come off the mountains and cause already swollen waterways to rise even higher. Park officials warn of debris, snow, and mudslides and say that the avalanche danger is high along the Going to the Sun Road. The Milk and Two Medicine Rivers, along with the Divide, Cutbank, and Swift Current Creeks, are all above flood level and are expected to fall below flood stage over the next day or two. The trial of a state senator charged with assaulting his young daughter, estranged wife, and her boyfriend has been delayed from August to January. District Judge Blair Jones set a new trial date of January 12th in Red Lodge for Republican State Senator Jason Priest. State prosecutors and Priest's attorneys have until the end of September to try to resolve the case without going to trial. Prosecutors say on February 1st, Priest threw his 4-year-old daughter through a doorway, tried to push his wife down the stairs, tackled her boyfriend, and struggled with an officer who intervened. Priest pleaded not guilty to felony assault on a minor and misdemeanor counts of partner or family member assault, and resisting arrest. Court documents say that Priest may argue that he acted in self-defense. Senator John Tester is praising a recent vote on his constitutional amendment that reduces spending in elections. Tester says his amendment will once again give Congress and states the power to limit spending in elections and, quote, make government work better.
When it comes to elections, more money equals more problems. Citizens United opened the floodgates for corporations to spend unlimited amounts of secret money to distort our elections and drown the voices of regular folks. This amendment will put people and their ideas back in charge of our elections. It's a needed step to move this country forward.
Tester also recently blasted the Supreme Court for its McCutcheon decision that struck down contribution limits preventing individuals from giving political organizations more than $123,000 each election cycle. The decision makes it easier for wealthy individuals to disproportionately influence the democratic process, Tester says. A federal judge in California has issued a $200 million civil judgment against one-time billionaire Tim Blixith for the fraudulent transfer of money out of an ultra-luxury resort he founded in southern Montana. U.S. District Judge Gary Fees, referred to Blixith's actions while at the Yellowstone Club near Big Sky as an elaborate fraudulent scheme of self-dealing. Fees says that the club's creditors deserve to be repaid. Beginning in 2005, Blixith and his former wife, Edra, diverted most of a $375 million loan to the club for their personal use. When the couple divorced in 2008, Edra got the club and it immediately fell into bankruptcy. Tim Blixith has since spent millions of dollars trying to fend off the club's creditors. Blixith, who lives in Washington state, said Wednesday that he will appeal the ruling.